Okay, buddy, let's get started. A busy 2 weeks with a lot of new stuff. Where do we want to start?
Where do I want to start? I don't know. You probably know better where to start than me.
Well, I have the list for the newsletter in front of me, but maybe we can start with the fact that this was an extremely busy week with all kinds of keynotes, right? You had 8 or more traveled through Europe. I myself also had 5 keynotes. So, what was your latest thing in takeaway? How people reacted to things? What was landing? What's your feeling about it?
Did you have 5 keynotes? For
Yeah,
real?
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't even come close to that. I definitely didn't have 8. I only had like 3. But yes, they were in Belgium and abroad. So a lot of traveling. Well, my main takeaway is that, well, honestly, because so one of my keynotes was at Heating, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning Expo in Belgium, the final one. I did 4 there. And I remember that for the first one, I was worried that the stuff I talk about in relation to AI and where things are headed would be too big, too crazy for air conditioning professionals. It sounds a little. I don't mean it disrespectful, but I thought
I
like
understand that. Yeah, yeah.
I thought these people are just never gonna get with it, right? They're gonna be like, okay, I don't know what they did, but they hired some crazy guy to do the talk. But surprisingly, a lot of these people were really engaged, really engaged. So they all came after me every single time to talk to me. There were people coming to me saying, yeah, I had a feeling that something like this was going on, but I didn't really know for sure, but now you've confirmed it. Then there was other people coming to me asking, like, how do you sleep at night? Right? How do you sleep at night knowing all of this and what's coming our way? So my main takeaway would have to be that, and we've said this before, I think, that you, me, and the people that we hang out with and talk to, we're inside of this bubble of everything that's going on, and we're looking at all the progress every day, and we are still only 1% of the global population that has any idea of what's heading our way. And it's a lot like that paper, and we're probably going to discuss that one,
Yeah.
situational awareness from Leopold Ashbrenner. Most people just really have no idea of what's coming our way. And then there's the skeptics who have the information to know what's coming our way, but who are in denial,
Yeah.
which I find also very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. What I also see is that a lot of people do know ChatGPT. Some of them have an account. They know what's that. But if you start talking about audio generation, video generation, a lot of the people see that for the first time. And then if you talk about multimodal, bringing that all together and what effect it is, and that is already happening. And that's basically already part in GPT 4.0. Then it really starts to open. And indeed, the question, how do you sleep at night is, yeah, that's a big one. So
Yeah.
how do you sleep at night?
Well, I sleep fine, but I should have less Sunday evening beers, as you might probably
Yeah.
be able to see.
No, in the midst of all this, I'm also very positive, and I know you are as well, about all the positive things that come out of this increase in intelligence. So that's what.
Oh, I believe there's so much potential for good stuff. I mean, if you just look at, like in my keynote, I talk about how we discovered 200 million protein structures last year. So that's basically all protein structures known to
Yeah.
nature, which is allowing medical research to skyrocket forward.
Speed up 100x, something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. And I tell people, look, I think it's very likely that we will basically eradicate all forms of cancer before the end of this decade, that we'll be able to cure Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease and things like that. And then people look at me and they're like, man, but that's crazy. And it's so funny because obviously everybody always wished for this, but never nobody seems to think it would ever arrive. And now when I say it's going to be here because we created this incredible thing called artificial intelligence that's capable of accelerating everything, they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's I don't believe that.
That's an interesting point you have there. People wish for things and then they are here and they don't even fully grasp the fact of that. I always wonder if we have some kind of alien life, that how would it spread right on the news? Is it going to be like total panic, everybody kind of shock, or just flows into the rest of things like, probably the latter. I don't know. It's weird, right? Hey, so we also had a great innovation dinner, which was a big success. Any takeaways from that? What did you think of that?
I think the innovation dinner was great. So anybody, if you are listening to this or if you're reading a newsletter and you're in the Netherlands, I highly recommend you to join one of our innovation dinners, obviously.
Yeah.
but if you are abroad and you can't come to one of ours, I highly recommend you to kind of organize one of your own, even if it's just with your friends. Right? I honestly felt that it was a great success, and everything that you and me kind of envisioned, putting people together at a table and make sure that the topics of conversation are worthy topics, worthwhile topics, interesting topics, where people talk about significant stuff and they're inspired to talk about things that maybe they weren't aware of, like in our case, of course, the accelerating change and the impact of artificial intelligence on that. I was, first of all, it was super enjoyable. We were lucky enough, of course, to have Homar make food for us, so the food was great. But then having this kind of super great conversation, and not just with your personal friends, I think that's also important to mention. Although I recommended doing it with your friends, which can be great, but having it
Not
with
there.
other people,
Yeah.
having it with other people, I found that extremely inspirational and exciting.
I agree. And philosophy is back big time, right? 10 years ago, if you were at a birthday party, you start a conversation. So are you conscious or not? People look at you, what are you talking about? And now all of a sudden, this is a very valid conversation. Is AI
Yeah.
conscious or not? Does it mean to have a good life? What becomes real or what is not real? Is your current, and people talked about that. From a professional perspective, but also from a private perspective, talking about kids a lot. How do we kind of raise kids? Very vivid conversations, and well, we should
I
do
would,
much more. Everybody wants to talk about these topics, so that was really great. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I would look. We're talking about how AI is revolutionizing science, but of course, in my keynote, I talk about how, for example, simply the fact that it allows us to communicate with animals, and it will very soon allow us to communicate on a much more sophisticated level with a lot of animals, including probably our pets. All of these things, the AI challenges our status quo. It challenges our beliefs. It challenges our accepted reality of how things are, the hierarchy of things, and things like it doesn't just stop at protein structures or
no,
being able to talk to a chatbot. It will completely it's like a plow going through the ground that is society. Everything's back up for debate because everything's being put in question,
yeah,
and I think that is great. I think it's so healthy. And honestly, if we think about that, I really feel like maybe we're entering some kind of second renaissance, and that would be great for humanity because we really need that.
yeah. I totally agree. Hey, let's look at some news articles. I've got first on the list some new things that are happening in audio and video. One of the things is, for instance, that we now have video to audio. Have you seen that? Let me put it on the screen. Let's see if I
Yeah.
can.
From Linus, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, so you can now put videos in, and then basically the audio is generated based on the image, and you can just create several different audio tracks that will fit with the video. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's play one if I know if the sound comes through. But here you have a drummer, and this is not a recording of somebody putting a drum. It's an video without audio, and then the AI is making the sound of it.
Well, yeah. You can still hear it. I mean, it's definitely not perfect yet.
No, it's not
But
perfect yet, but this is the first iteration, and like you always
yeah,
said, this is the worst it's gonna be.
this is absolutely this is the worst it's ever going to be. Just think about where video generation was a year ago, and think where we're now. So,
Right, and now
absolutely.
the fact that you generate a video and then the audio comes automatically with it, or you can play with the audio, that is also a big step into multimodal.
Yeah,
But also the video creation tools, a new one was coming out.
you should this one. Oh, I've seen. Oh, okay. This is not the one. Well, I saw this one with the video with the spaceship, and then I saw 3 different audio tracks, but this one only has one. But
Ah,
it's very impressive, and then you hear them every time, and they all fit, but they're completely different.
that's fun. Yeah. And of course, we also had Runway
Yep.
3.0 with an update, and Runway
Yeah,
has been pretty
I find
expensive.
it I
Yeah.
find it incredible that Sora is like was we saw videos but it wasn't released, and then back then I don't know, you probably remember I said that I thought that maybe they're not releasing Sora because of the upcoming American elections, right? But then everybody went crazy and Sora got integrated into Adobe, so you can use it because people said they didn't release Sora, but it's not entirely true, of course,
Oh,
because Adobe did integrate Sora into Premiere. So basically Sora wasn't available on the ChatGPT platform, but Sora was available inside of Adobe Suite as a collaboration between partnership between OpenAI and Adobe. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but
Exactly.
but the thing is that went kind of under the radar somehow, that you could access Sora that way, and then suddenly there's this explosion. Kling, Runway, Dream Machine, they're all catching up. Well, Dream Machine is technically a different company, but yeah, they're all now catching up again, right? It's
Exactly.
it's a
Exactly.
race. Yeah.
And one of these is now available for the public, Dream Machine by Luma. So that's why you see now the most of the videos, because everybody has access. Now the recent videos you have to wait for almost an hour to get your production. So I think they are a little bit over requested. But we will include all these links in the newsletter so people can check them out if they want.
Yep.
And if you are talking about audio, let me show you this. This is something that I, as a DJ, have quite been well, not waiting for it in a more negative way, if you will, because I was expecting this. Share this tab. Here we go. It was a matter of time before people could put all those tracks together and automatically have a completely generated DJ mix. So you don't need any DJ anymore. All the build-ups, all the transitions, everything is completely automated with something called DJ Studio. It's, by the way, I think it's a Dutch company that is creating this.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
By the way, small correction on myself because I'm talking about Sora in Adobe, and I was convinced that it was already available, but apparently it was only a beta, so it was only available to some people because they are right now integrating it in Adobe Premiere, so it will be rolled out
Only
with a
for a
future
better group.
update.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I heard the same things about Kling, by the way, and I've looked at it, but then I got to some more Chinese websites how to use it, how to make use of it, and never
Mm.
succeeded. So it must be a better group as well, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, the mixtapes. By the way, on Suno, you can now you can give it a sound sample, huh? So you can let it listen to whatever music you want, and then it can generate based on that. It's also
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
music to music, basically. Yeah.
it's amazing, right? And the uptake also for tracks that are indeed now landing on Spotify, all these creations that people are doing, it will be a significant increase. There are 70 million, let's say, normally created tracks on Spotify, and this will so rapidly increase to maybe double of that because of all these artificial stuff.
Right now, there's already a whole bunch of artists that have suddenly appeared on Spotify that are basically people just generating music all day long with AI and then putting it on Spotify. Just and instead of instead of traditional artists who want to make one hit, right? These are just people that are creating copyright free music, and they're creating large volumes of it. Because if you have music that anybody can play in the background of their Twitch stream or whatever, and they play it a million times, then you still make a decent amount of money, right? So the
Yeah,
whole industry around making money from music is changing. I think this will also reignite the whole conversation about Spotify and how they pay artists, maybe in a different way. Because obviously, if suddenly people make a lot of money by having lots of plays, that might change the game. I maintain that any artist who complains about Spotify doesn't understand how lucky they are to have been born in the time with Spotify. There's never been a time where an artist had an easier time reaching billions of people. And if you're not making money especially as a musician right now, it's not because of Spotify not paying you enough. It's because you're just a bad business person. simple. Because even Martin Garrix makes the vast majority of his money through merchandise sales and through sponsorship deals. And every artist in our day and age, that's how they should be making their money, right? Your music is really only your own marketing tool of getting your
Well,
brand out there.
should it only be merchandise, or should it be more focused on playing live music?
That's my
Merchandise
opinion.
is
But
all kind of
again,
secondary, right?
yeah, but that's where the money is,
That's where
right?
the money is.
So that's where the money is. If you look, it's nice if you can have a concert, but even Martin Garrix get paid what, 100K for playing as
Right, but
DJ,
that
and
money is
and he
all
makes 1 million on merchandise.
right. So, but that's all additional money people, normal people wouldn't need, right? A good musician can live a very rich life of just playing live music. If you want to be ultra rich, have a yacht and a plane, all these things,
Yeah,
then you're
but
going to merchandise. But it's not
I
necessary to
don't.
go there.
No, but I think the conversation for smaller artists. Of course, I forgot I'm talking to a DJ now, but I think the conversation for smaller artists these days is a lot around. Okay, Spotify is not paying me enough, so I can't make a living, and I need to take a second job next to making music, and that isn't fair. And I think that there's no musician that needs to do that if they are good musicians. They only need to do that if they're good musicians and bad business people, because they don't know how to make money with what they do, and they are so focused, tunnel focused on, I need to make enough money off Spotify,
Yeah,
right? And I think that for every business person, whether you're a musician or whatever, I think ultimately you can only make money if you're smart enough business wise to find a way to make money of what you do, right? If you're selling a bad course in sales training like I used to, and you're not selling it right, or you're not making it interesting enough, or you're not having a good upsell, then it also don't make money. And nobody says, well, then Springest, the website where you offer your online training, it's their fault because they're not paying you enough, right? So I think that's just, there's this kind of weird little mindset with musicians that they feel like they somehow are special in the kind of demands they can make of the economy, and that it's not their responsibility to make sure that they make enough money, because it's the
is
responsibility
that?
of the studios. But if they had been here 50 years ago or whatever, Sony would have been taking all the money, and only a handful of artists would ever meet an audience. So I mean, what are you complaining about, right? Your
You have
chances
better
today are better
opportunities
than
now,
ever.
right? That I
Yeah,
agree with that, especially with AI, who you can now ask to do your complete promotion. So there are tools to help you with
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But not all creatives
yeah.
have that business side in them. You should collaborate to get to that, right? And it's not
No,
only for musicians; it go for a lot of creative people.
exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing, economy wide, right? So then you need to think about how to fix that. But this does bring us to an interesting point. Back to what you said earlier. You said we talked about how now there's going to be this massive uptake on music produced and being put online and put available. So on one hand, there will be a lot of musicians, and they are already saying, well, now we're getting competition from AI, and then they're also going to train, because then they're going to claim that the AI is being trained on their own work
Yeah,
illegally and blah blah blah. I think that ultimately that's just not a productive way of coming at it. But on the other hand, what I would like to say to those people is that live performance is going to be more important now again. And
yeah,
I honestly believe that people will now start to differentiate in what they listen to in terms of music based on who made it. And you might not be differentiating based on that when you're just putting on some background music, but I can guarantee you that just like there have been Nina Simone fans, and there have been Johnny Cash fans, and there have been Martin Garrix fans, now there's gonna then there was then there's EDM fans, and there's country fans, and now there's going to be AI fans, and there's going to be human fans. There's going to be people that will be a lot of people that will be
right.
specifically into music because it's human made,
Yeah,
and then there's people that maybe they will be specifically into AI made music, right? So I
nicely
think
said.
live performance is going to be important. That's actually my main point, because that it will become something unique to be able to go to a band that actually exists, that
And
is human.
and also that is how music was consumed always, right? We have this limited window of only 80 years where we have kind of recorded music and distributed in a way, and it now kind of ends making money with that, and it's back to just the live music.
Yeah.
And of course, then the
Yeah.
merchandise is still there, but that might change in the future as well. Let's see how that
Yeah.
rolls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about your favorite company, Apple. Well, this is I think this is painful. If you ask me, where I do not sleep from overnight, is this kind of statement, because now Apple Intelligence was announced, and a couple of days ago it was announced that it's not available in Europe due to GDPR, AI legislation, all these kind of things. And we predicted this stuff already, and this is going to be significant, right? Imagine that there's GPT-5 in everybody's pocket for every American, but not for every European. That's a big deal. Everybody has a personal PhD grade kind of advisor. We'll, of course, have access on different ways, which kind of makes it funny anyway. So we have access, but we cannot have access to through our Apple phone. It's kind of weird in a way.
Yes. And I agree with you. This is what we talked about. This is what we were worried about. And this is in some respect reminiscent of that happening now. On the
I
other
worry
hand,
about.
I would also like to point out that we do have ChatGPT. We do have ChatGPT with memory. We have Claude, which is now also instantly being released in Europe and no longer behind a wall. So they also fixed their shit. That I can't say anything about future features, of course, if they upgrade to a new version of ChatGPT. But now we have access to all of this. It's only Apple that is now already saying, well, you're not going to get our Apple Intelligence. And let's be honest, Apple Intelligence is shit. I
No.
mean, right. It's just some features that you might consider interesting. And I've seen more posts in the last 2 weeks about the new math calculator than about anything else. Right. So more than anything, it's just really sad. And
Yeah.
it just goes to show, I believe, that Apple has nothing, and what they have isn't even compliant with EU guidelines for protecting our privacy. And this is the company that's claiming that they're so big on our privacy.
I
So
knew you would go all
they're
in.
just
Yeah, yeah.
lying.
So
They're
let me
just
ask the next
lying to
question.
us.
What do you think about their Vision Pro then?
Yeah, well, I have for a long time been on the fence about was Vision Pro a brilliant marketing strategy, or did they just try to stumble forward after they completely failed with what they did? And when it first came out, I said it's a piece of shit. Then a week later, I made a review and I said this is brilliant marketing. They did this on purpose. And for a while, I believed that. And now I'm actually, because of what they announced now, I think I had it wrong again. I think they actually just screwed up massively and then tried to kind of make it seem like they knew what they were doing. Because if it had been a plan to release the Vision Pro at that price point as a way to, mold the market, to kind of build demand, make sure that the development is in place. If that had been the goal, then there would be no way in hell that they would have now stopped development on the Vision Pro
Oh,
going forward. They would have had that, and they would have had development of a cheaper model next to that. But now it's coming out that apparently they were developing the Vision Pro, so they were just developing for the expensive version, and they've only now started developing for a cheaper version. So it wasn't a marketing ploy.
no.
They
Oh,
really thought that people would be crazy enough to
to-
buy a three
yep.
and a half thousand euro headset, and that would be their main go-to market.
Yeah.
This just proves me that everything I believe about Tim Cook and Apple is true. This guy has no friggin' clue what he's doing. He's been an incredible optimizer. He's been an incredible accountant, and he's managed to milk Steve Jobs' genius and his creative team's genius for a decade, and now has no clue what he's doing anymore because there's a new paradigm shift. There's virtual reality, the metaverse, there's AI, and he doesn't know what to do with it. All of this just confirms it. And I will die on that hill probably.
Well, lucky us that we didn't invest at 3.5 for the Vision Pro. How are the Meta goggles? Are you using them?
I use them. I don't use them as often as I would like to use them, and I have wondered whether I would like to change them, but that I would. It's
Change them
I
to what?
to big screen beyond. The
Ah,
big
yeah.
I can
Well,
quick quickly show
Yeah,
that.
so they really changed it to a different product. They are coming with a second release this year. I'm waiting for that, basically, an upgrade of the Meta glasses.
Yeah, so the big screen beyond, for those people that don't know it, is this headset. It's really small. It's extremely light. It's like ski
Yeah,
goggles, basically.
so the thing with this, right? I know that you have no problem wearing such a headset, but the nice thing of the Meta glasses are that it is just a sunglass, 50 grams additional. You don't see it. This. If you walk on the street with this, it's still a little bit frowned upon, right? Compared to a normal sunglasses or a Meta glasses. What do you think?
Well, first of all, you can't wear these in the street because the big screen beyond is not see-through. It's absolutely 100% only virtual reality. You can only use it at
Yeah,
home. You need a lighthouse, and I have two lighthouses
that's really
from my previous VR headset, from my Vive. So this is something you can only use in home, and this is only for the most maximum. It's micro OLED. It's like the best VR experience you can have. It's not augmented reality.
right. So then that is not a Meta. Then you will not change your Meta glasses for this. It's a different product category. Your Meta is see-through and it's more augmented reality, right?
Well, I don't know because technically, the Vision Pro and the Meta glasses are not augmented reality. They've been marketed that way, but really the only purpose the augmented reality has in there is so that you can move around when you wear the thing. You don't need to take it off all the time. And there's some games and applications in there, and I have to admit that they're quite magical, right? There's some augmented reality games that use your own room as an environment for the game that you play, and that's very, very cool. But it's in its very early days,
Yeah.
and I think that really right now, what you use headsets like that for is 99%. It's just virtual reality, right? It's not augmented reality because the augmented reality simply there's almost no apps for it yet. Um, Still, even the augmented reality, if you use it, especially on a MetaQuest, it's kind of grainy, right? The
So
Vision Pro is.
how many apps would you need? If you have the Meta glasses, you can just look at an object and ask questions to your AI assistant. And we have that use case a lot, right? So I make pictures of plants, I make pictures of things in my home, and then I ask ChatGPT, so what to do about it, how to give this plant water, or these kind of use cases. That is all what you can do now with your glasses. You can do repair something with your glasses on and have an instant dialogue. You don't need any apps for that. That AI is the one only app you need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is one disappointment that I've had so far with the Meta Quest 3 is that I was expecting it to get AI in voice mode, and it's actually in there, but it still says it's in beta, so it's still not available, and they still haven't rolled it out. Well,
Ah, that's the issue. Okay,
yeah,
got it. Yeah.
the year is not over, so it might be that it'll still come out this year, and that will instantly make the headset far more useful. But it isn't available yet, so it's still just purely a VR headset with some augmented reality features. And my Meta Quest or my Meta Ray Bans that I sent back, I still haven't had the refund for some reason, and I still haven't ordered a new set, which is kind of annoying, and I need to fix that today.
Yeah. Hey, I just bumped into a news article what's on our list as well about cancer treatment.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned earlier in the conversation, I should have brought up there, but the first personalized cancer vaccines have been already provided to a group of
Yep.
people.
Yep.
So there you have it. It's already in practice.
Yep.
AI-driven vaccine against cancer. They're specifically looking for cancer cells, only attacking those cancer cells in the UK, and try to solve that. There you go.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, when I found that news item, I was really blown away because I know that progress is going fast. But this is another one of those examples where only a few months ago, right? It feels like, or half a year ago or so, I realized where things were headed, and I said something about that. And then it was the breakthrough through with the protein structures, and now suddenly out of the blue there's already like personalized cancer vaccines, which
Yeah.
are obviously being created, of course, with some form of artificial intelligence to do the heavy lifting. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's incredible. There's the miracles happening
Yeah,
every day
yeah.
now.
Well, talking about miracles, you this weekend shared a post from Reuven about Anthropic's latest release. Maybe we can bring it up, and if maybe you can narrate how special it is, what he's doing there.
Yeah. So Rufin, are you showing it? Are we sharing it
Yeah,
on the
I'm
screen?
trying to find it here. Let's see if I have it. I'm already.
Yeah, I got it. You have it?
Yeah,
Oh
I
wait.
have.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah. So Rufin basically here used basically he did a party trick. So Rufin Cohen is a guy that I follow, and in his description he says agentic engineer, which I think is correct. He is a developer. I think he's a former Deloitte employee or EY, I think, something like that. And now he's just basically all in on AI, but he really pushes it to the limits in terms of how you can use it for development and programming. And he's already done some really amazing stuff where he's basically built his own custom GPTs and then turned them into agents, and he linked them together through all kinds of means, for example, like Zapier and other ways, so that they can work together. So he already had this thing where like he'd go to bed in the evening and ask his agents to develop something, and then next morning he'd wake up and they'd have made, whole software packages and stuff. But that was overnight, and it wasn't always perfect. And what happened now is with the new Claude 3.5 sonnet, he was at a birthday party, or which he says, or a party, and he was talking to some developers, and they'd been working on this kind of program or platform they wanted to build, and they spent months on it. And he was talking to them about they should be using AI, and they were like a little skeptical. And then he said, well, let me show you. And he literally whipped out Claude 3.5 Sonnet on his phone. This is the recording of that. And he basically recreated the app they've been working months to create in 60 seconds. And it was working, and you can see it here. And these guys were just blown away, obviously. And this is just another great example of, because these are not average Joes. These are not plumbers or construction workers or people that have nothing to do with technology in their day-to-day life, so they would not have an idea of what's possible. These are people that work in software development, right? They have a startup, they're building something, and somehow they still manage to be completely unaware of what's going on in AI. In this post, he says that they said, well, we have offshore developers, so they probably have developers in India that do a lot of their work. They simply had no idea that AI can already do this kind of work in this time frame.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah,
It
it is.
is
It is. It is.
crazy.
But it's great to show this video, and some people within our community, our innovation network, already picked it up, and it's going to be included in some of the workshops already immediately to kind of show how quickly we can get to prototypes and these kind of apps.
Yep.
So it's absolutely amazing to use that.
Yeah, and man, the massive blue ocean kind of disruption that we're going to be seeing over the next few years is incredible, and this just shows it.
Yeah.
And again, we thought that this would be 2 years out, a year ago, and here we are. So
Here we are. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and you also your latest article is about diminishing returns on LinkedIn. Want to share any insights on that? Basically, it's a deep dive, even further in exponential growth, and good arguments against the naysayers why exponential growth is indeed happening. What
yeah.
what are the arguments of the naysayers in exponential growth? Is that an argument of an S curve? Is it slowing down? Is that the biggest argument that people put on the table?
Well, yes. I mean, if simplified, that's it. Last week, I had multiple people kind of challenge me on LinkedIn and X and say, well, you're just one of these techno profit optimist people that seem to think that we just keep going on this incredible kind of progress, but this is nonsense because it's unsustainable. And then the thing is, they come and they say, well, because there's diminishing returns and there's proof for that. And then, okay, fair enough. I say, okay, give me the proof. And then they come with articles that specifically focus on one asset, one particular thing. So they'll say something like, okay, yes, we're seeing diminishing returns when we increase the amount of data for large language models. We see that the amount of benefits or increase in capabilities is less now than it was a year ago. So there's diminishing returns. But they are so tunnel vision on that one particular kind of measurement that they just completely ignore everything else. Because by that measurement, we have massive diminishing returns on Moore's law, right? If we just look at what Moore's law said originally, it is that we double the amount of transistors on a die chip every 18 months. And we're not doing that anymore, trust
No,
me, right?
no.
Because we're working now in the nanometers. It's not possible to double that anymore. But we're still more than doubling computational power every
We
month because
absolutely do.
because we found new ways of moving forward. So the whole point with these diminishing returns is, yes, if you're looking at one very specific kind of measure, then we see diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But because what is going on is so much bigger and it incorporates all these different kind of processes and all these, it's like we have a massive computer with all these different dials, and okay, so one dial is now turned to max, we can't dial that anymore. There's still plenty of other dials that we can work with to improve and optimize and create efficiency and create output that will still lead to an exponential progress. And then that in and of itself will again lead to technological breakthroughs, which will then again allow us to basically move past the diminishing returns in other areas down the line. So this is how technology has been developing as a whole also. I mean, Daniel Burnham was the first one to actually see the exponential nature of technological progress in 1910, and then he was not taken serious by people, and then it took 100 years for Ray Kurzweil to write The Singularity is Near and to again claim the exponential nature of technology, only to be again dismissed basically by the majority of people. And now again we're just seeing
Still
it
people are
again.
dismissing it while we now
Just
are in that curve. We are in the curve. You look around, you see it everywhere. It's not a prophecy anymore. Like, right, in 1910, I could imagine that people don't see it. And even with Ray Kurzweil in 2003, I read that book at that time and I was kind of believing it, but at the same time, couldn't kind of imagine a world where it went so fast, right? And now we are in that world and you see it and it's still unbelievable. But as told in the beginning, we're also a little bit in a bubble, and but hey, that's why we do all this, and we try to share all these messages. Let's wrap up with one last video, because you find some kind of cool dudes that is using ChatGPT and much more on his own personal workbench, and he's posting some cool stuff. So let me put it on.
This is just another example, just like Rufin, right? Rufin is one of these people that's really pushing AI to the limit in terms of agentic use cases for software development. This is another guy I've been following for a while, and he took ChatGPT, he connected it to his 3D printer setup, and he gave it like a scanner. So on his workbench, he can scan devices. There's no audio. You should. Can you turn it back?
Yeah, I either listen to you or we listen to him.
Of course, yeah. So yeah, you just play the video, because it's basically
Jason,
Iron Man.
I'll transfer over the old schematic to your new directory. What is your plan for the shell?
Yeah, so I want to do something like this, where I put the Arduino in one side and the lithium battery in the other.
Seems like a great sketch, sir. It will have to be big enough to house the lithium battery and Arduino. If you add an STL file to the project, I can print it as soon as you're done designing it.
Thanks, Jarvis.
Yeah, so
now let's get started.
Yeah.
So now what do I do?
Next, connect the positive 5-volt out pin to the key in on the Arduino.
Yeah, so basically, if you've watched Iron Man movies where Tony Stark works together with his AI Jarvis to create like a new suit, this is literally what this guy's doing with his 3D printer. He connected it to ChatGPT, and it basically talks to him, advises him on how to do what, how to build things, and he creates things. And so this is a sensor to figure out how fast he can swing his golf club, but it's very, very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. With the music and the way he kind of points to Iron Man is pretty cool. So let's leave it at that. We also have to join another meeting, but it was fun going through it again. And
shortest news.
Don't forget to sign up for X, people. We have now a channel on X, so join that as well. There you hear all the news. First, we're going to post it there first, and see you next time. Or how do you say it in Dutch?
Well, like they say in the Netherlands, see you later.